What he's doing is he's opening checking accounts at various banks and then changing the Micker Inc. routing numbers at the bottom of those checks.
When it comes to biopics, I already know, and you guys out there should know, that they are never accurate. It is sad to say, but almost all of us are living a life of routine. But when it comes to a master manipulator that lies as well as you can tell the truth, the story becomes scandalous and the details are shocking. In other words, I'm Meffistoe. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie Catch Me If You Can.
Excuse me. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you have the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen.
Catch Me If You Can is yet another collaboration between Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. But before it even got to their hands, it was shopped around Hollywood for a long time. The movie itself came out in 2002, but Frank Abegnale Jr., the man who is the main character of the film, had sold the rights to his biography all the way back in 1980. It went from hand to hand before landing in the laps of DreamWorks. Spielberg wasn't even set to direct it. David Fincher was. He was interested, but dropped off to make Panic Room. Gore Verbinski started working on the project, but since he had to wait until DiCaprio finishes shooting Gangs of New York, he dropped out as well. And after a few twists and turns, Steven Spielberg took over the job. But when Verbinski took over the casting, James Gandolfini was hired for the role of Carl Henriette, and Ed Harris was Frank Sr. But when Spielberg actually took the reins, he changed the casting to what it is today, with Hanks as Carl and Walken as Frank.
There's 50 checks there, Frank. Which means, from this day on, you're in their little club.
The story of the movie is the rise and fall of Frank Abegnale Jr. as the con artist and a check counterfeiter. It starts off at Frank Jr.'s 16th birthday and him having to experience the downfall of his father, Frank Sr., who was a prominent figure and a successful business owner that ended up owing a lot of money to the IRS. This ended up, of course, breaking his marriage with Frank Jr.'s mother.
Do you know what would happen if the IRS found out I was driving around in a new coupe?
Meanwhile, Frank Jr. seemed to develop a knack for convincing people that he is something he's not. It starts off quite innocently as he pretends to be a teacher for a few days at the school he just enrolled into, and ends up with him pretending to be a pilot, a doctor, a lawyer, and all the while scamming bank after bank with fraudulent checks and cashing in a lot of money.
Payroll checks we cash up to 300.
Did you say 300 for a payroll check?
His antics alert a little department within the FBI dealing with these matters, headed by one Carl Henriette, who early on caught wind of this thing and started his investigation. And the more Frank Jr. made headway, the larger the scale of Henriette's crew and the scope of his investigation became. This created a cat and mouse game until the very end of the movie.
My name's Alan, Barry Allen, United States Secret Service. Your boy just tried to jump out the window. My partner has him in custody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Catch Me If You Can is much more than just a biopic drama. It shows how easily some people are fooled by appearances and how well these con artists dupe these innocent people in believing what they're seeing, not what they're doing. Frank Abegnale was the master manipulator and also knew his stuff when it comes to falsifying checks in order to make his money. While watching the movie, you'll get to see an array of techniques that he used to great effect and also used by many other con artists of his kind, very effectively to con people out of their money.
So where do the checks get routed to?
I don't exactly know. Nobody ever asked me that before.
What's interesting about it is the subtle cat and mouse game between him and Henriette. It seems like Carl knows his man, but he's behind about 1 or 2 steps. He's on the path of catching Frank, but it always seemed to elude him. This is what brings the big drama to this mundane kind of biopic, where the action is in the deception and the evasion. The near misses, the cons upon cons in order to get away are at times smart and at times a bit comical. This is one of very selected few movies that I can actually tolerate Leo DiCaprio. I'm sorry to all the women out there who absolutely adore him, and yes ladies, I know you're out there, so don't lie, but I almost never liked any project he's in. In this movie, his young boyish looks and his smarmy, obnoxious smile works within the character and helps its credibility. He is in fact only 25 years old when the movie was shot, but he can pull off a 16-year-old with no de-aging de-aging technology. This manner of boyish good looks help improve his believability when it comes to seducing the young ladies and making them do whatever he wants them to do in order to get the cash, which is mostly divulged secrets that the banks and the corporations don't want people to know.
And where are these numbers?
They're, right here.
Right there?
See?
On the other side of that equation, Tom Hanks, who by this point has been in Hollywood for almost 20 years, and now does the switch between the young boyish man, which he was, to the well-respected older actor that settles into this role of this cop, this FBI agent with a family that he almost never sees because of the work. He embodies the relentless pursuit after his man, and he is fully committed to make you believe he's from another place, especially using that special accent. It's really unclear exactly where the character is from because it's not quite a Boston accent and it's not quite a New England accent, but Hanks is fully committed to it, and that's what sold it for me.
I'll tell you what I am sure of. You're going to get caught, one way or another. It's a mathematical fact. It's like Vegas. The house always wins.
I never got a chance to watch this movie in the theater, and to be fair, it is really down to DiCaprio himself. I almost never go to the theater to watch a movie that he stars in. So when I caught this movie on random cable channel back in the day, I almost gave up on it. It starts off slow and it lays down the foundation of why Frank became who he is, but as soon as the first money scam is complete, you are fully hooked into the movie, and you don't want to stop until you see if Frank gets caught or not, and if Carl manages to outsmart a smart con man. I will highly recommend you watch this movie. The performances, the atmosphere, the near misses, the near catches that keep you on your toes, especially the ease in which Frank manages to do his thing and evade suspicion from everyone around him except for Carl Henrietti. And all that with the score of the brilliant John Williams.
You have no one else to call.
I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.